respecting all people for who they are. We all must stand upon the rock.
Stand on the rock.
Stand on the rock for freedom, let it ring stand.
White and red,
Stand on the rock for liberty, we must stand upon the rock. Oh, rocks don't fall on me. Oh, rocks don't fall on me. Oh, rocks don't fall on me. Rocks and mountains don't fall on me.
stand on the
Oh, rocks don't fall on me. Stand, stand. Oh, rocks don't fall on me. Rocks and mountains don't fall on me.
Stand on the rock. White and true, stand on the rock for liberty. We must
Stand upon the rock.
stand on the rock. Stand on the rock. Stand on the
Stand on the rock. Stand on the rock. Just stand upon the rock.
Stand on the
Stand on the rock. Stand on the rock. Just stand upon the rock.
stand on the
Stand on the rock. Stand on the rock. Just stand upon the rock. Just stand on the rock for liberty. We must stand upon the rock.
Haven't always been this way. Wasn't born a renegade. I felt alone, still feel afraid. I stumble through it anyway. I wish someone would have told me that this life is ours to choose. No one's handing you the keys or a book with all the rules. Little that I know I'll tell you. When they dress you up in lies and you're left naked with the truth, you threw your head back and you spin in the wind and let the walls crack. Those that let's lay in, let them drag you through hell. They can't tell you to change who you are. That's all I know so far. And when the storm's out, you run in the rain and put your sword down, dive right into the
stand on the rock for liberty. We must stand up on the rock.
Stand on the rock.
Stand on the rock.
Why don't you stand on the rock for liberty? We must stand up on the rock. We're taking a stand against all hatred and greed. We must stand up on the rock.
And showing compassion for those in need, we all must
Stand up on the rock. For peace in all places where there's conflict and war, we must stand up on the rock.
respecting all people for who they are. We all must stand up on the rock.
Stand on the rock.
Stand on the rock for freedom, let it ring
Why don't you stand on the rock for liberty? We must stand up on the rock.
Oh, rocks don't fall on me. Oh, rocks don't fall on me. Oh, rocks don't fall on me. Rocks and mountains don't fall on me.
Stand on the rock.
Oh, rocks don't fall on me. Stand, stand. Oh, rocks don't fall.
Everyone, good morning. Welcome. I am the Reverend Dayna Edwards. My pronouns are she and her, and I am.
Dayna,
I know, I'm not sure. Good morning. Can you hear me okay? No?
Something's wrong with your...
Yeah. Good morning. All right, we're going to try again. We're going to just turn this off. Oh, okay. We're good now? Yeah,
Yep.
That's much better. All right. Good morning again, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. I am the Reverend Dayna Edwards, and my pronouns are she and her. And many of you have already started to turn and greet your neighbor, and I invite you to continue to turn and greet your neighbor. And if you're joining us online, greet each other in the chat. May it be so. Thanks.
It's a beautiful day at Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Isn't it? Yes. It is. Good morning. I'm Abhi Janamanchi. My pronouns are he and him. And I am a cisgender Indian male in my 50s with brown skin and mostly dark hair and a graying mustache. And today, I'm wearing a purple shirt and is this paisley vest and blue pants. Welcome to Cedar Lane, a religious community that is grounded in love and works to make love work. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your beliefs, sexual orientation, gender identity, documentation status, and disability, and wherever you're joining us from in person or at home, you are welcome here. A very special welcome to those of you who are new to Cedar Lane this morning. If you are joining us for the first time today or still feeling new and feel comfortable doing so, please raise your hand so we may see you and welcome you if you're here in person, or share your name in the chat. Thank you. I just love that welcome, Rebecca. So glad to have you with us. You're invited to complete the newcomer form that is being linked in the chat, as well as is available here. And if you're available and able after the service, please join me in the library to learn more about Unitarian Universalism and Cedar Lane. Be happy to answer any questions you may have. Which reminds me, today is our question box service, which is an annual tradition, a UU tradition, somewhat unique, an opportunity for members and friends to stump the ministers with difficult questions, which you always manage to manufacture. So we're always delighted to receive those questions. So you may have seen a basket up there in the back with some note cards and pens. If you haven't already picked up one and written a question, please do so. We'll be happy to receive and try to address as many questions as possible during the service. Our weekly e-newsletter is a great way to stay updated about all the many wonderful happenings at Cedar Lane. You can sign up through our website, www.cedarlane.org. Our pastoral visitors are an extension of our ministry team. Helen Pekacek is our pastoral visitor who is present here in person today. We also have pastoral visitors online to provide any support or a listening presence. Thank you, Helen. As we prepare to worship this morning, we acknowledge that Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Congregation is situated on the ancestral lands of the Nacotchtank people, part of the Piscataway group of tribes, and on the land on which enslaved African people and their descendants labored and lived without choice or reward. We honor with gratitude the land and the people who have protected it through the generations. In this spirit we gather. In this spirit we begin.
As I mentioned, my name is Reverend Dayna Edwards, and my pronouns are she and her, and I am wearing a green calf-length dress that's green and white and pink with a fall-themed stole, and I am a white middle-aged woman with curly short hair. We gather in the questions. What is the purpose of all this, we ask? Why is it so? How can we make it as good as it should be? Who are we? And what are we becoming? What is life, love, happiness, death? What should we value? What is true? What do we mean by God, the holy, the sacred? How should we relate to everything? We gather in the questions, seeking, searching, reflecting. We gather in the questions, and the questions never end.
Good morning. I'm Kimberly Clarkson, the worship associate for today's service. My pronouns are she, her. I am a white woman with brown curly hair. I am wearing a t-shirt that says "We Are With the Band" and has a display of band books on the cover. As Helen Pekacek kindles the chalice, please share in the chat where you are lighting your chalice from. Please rise in body and or in spirit to share the chalice lighting words. We light this chalice to kindle the fire of commitment to share our beloved faith, proclaiming the good news that all are worthy and all are welcome, that all are loved and none shall be left behind. May we carry this flame to all we encounter, letting our lives shine with its glow. Please remain standing to sing hymn number 346, Come Sing a Song with Me.
Hi.
Hello. Every year we offer a backpack, work bag, handbag, any kind of bag blessing at the beginning of a new congregational, school, and any other kind of year. So we preface this ceremony by acknowledging what a gift and a privilege it is to be able to own a backpack or a work bag, and what a gift it is to be able to go to school. These gifts are not universal, and thus we take a moment now to give thanks for our backpacks and our work bags and for our education and work, for our teachers, our administrators, the facilities and cafeteria staff and community members who work hard to ensure that our schools are creative, inclusive, progressive, safe spaces to be, to learn, and to go out into the world to live out values.
So we now invite those who are present, who are marking the beginning of the school year, going back to school, whether you have your backpack or not, you're welcome to join us up front, in body and or in spirit, so that you can be blessed as you start and mark this new milestone of life. You can kind of stand in a semicircle.
Please form a semicircle right in front and stand with us. That's great. Thank you, Deborah.
And starting the beginning of a school year can bring a lot of excitement and giddy energy. So we invite you now present in this space to enter a quiet and mindful space. And one way to do that is to take a deep breath in and release. As we enter into a mindful space of loving kindness, hope, and faith, we begin our responsive blessing. My friends, as your backpack will carry the supplies to nourish your mind and your heart, your body and your spirit, we hold these backpacks and work bags and metaphorical backpacks as well as sacred objects this morning. And we bless them with these words.
So that you are fulfilled by days spent reading, writing, problem solving, experimenting, and for the days when you get all your answers wrong, and the days you don't care about anything, let the congregation say, we bless your mind. So that in every classroom, hallway, cafeteria, and schoolyard, you treat others kindly and others treat you kindly. Let the congregation say, we bless your heart. We bless your heart. So that you are awake in the morning, energized during the day, and always able to get a good night's sleep, even if you have to get on that school bus at an ungodly hour, and for the days when you are so sleepy and your backpack weighs a ton, let the congregation say, we bless your body.
We bless your body.
Throughout this entire year, as you go through all the successes and all the failures, all the joys and all the disappointments that go along with learning new ideas, meeting new people, and growing in mind, heart, and body.
We want you to know that you are loved. No matter what, you are loved. You are human. No matter what, you are human. Therefore, you are imperfect, and your imperfections are okay. In fact, they are sacred, and you are loved. We bless your backpacks with the gift of a compass so that you might always see your way home, and a flashlight so that you know your light can shine wherever you are.
And so, together, let us say,
we bless your spirit.
We bless your spirit.
Go forth. Go forth. Yes. No, you're good. We got...
this song in April of last year on a beach, and it came to me all at once, and it's a big part of my journey. Say that God won't leave us, but we can leave God. They tell stories of how the choices we make us strong. What if I'm not meant to be strong? Or what if I'm meant to be weak? What if what you really want for me is to wander and seek? I looked for you in the pages, and I searched for you in the words, but I'm finding you in the sunset. I've discovered you in the dirt. My heart's longing for belonging, but I can't stay here. My journey's taken me farther, right through my fears. And as I wander, I'm left to ponder, what is your plan for me? Sometimes I see you clearly, then realize it's vaguely. What if I'm not meant to see you? And what if I'm meant to be blind? What if what you really want for me is to seek so I find? I looked for you in the pages, and I searched for you in the words, but I'm finding you in frustration. You've hallowed me in the hurt, and I can see why others stay behind. There's safety in following in kind. Faith is not acting when steps are known. An act of faith, therein follows the growth. I tried holding to doctrine as I stayed afloat. Now done with desperate clinging, I'm letting go of the boat. What if I'm not meant to see you? What if I'm meant to be blind? What if what you really want for me is to seek so I find? I looked for you in the pages, and I searched for you in the words, but I'm finding you in frustration. You've hallowed me in the hurt.
Thank you, Heidi, for sharing yourself, your music, and your journey with us. I'm so glad you strayed intentionally to Cedar Lane. Thank you. There are a few things to lift up this morning. Next weekend, Monday, we will be participating in the Labor Day Parade in Kensington after a few years of taking a break. So we invite you to walk and roll with us in the Kensington Labor Day Parade. And you'll get a free Cedar Lane t-shirt and also have an opportunity to hand out some sweet treats along the route. You can sign up for joining us on the parade route. The link is being included in the chat. You can also find it in our e-news. We look forward to seeing many of you there. Also, as we begin a new congregational year, our Sunday school registration is open for our children and youth, all the way from cradle to 18. And there are many different offerings for different age groups. We have registration available at the welcome table today, so families who are visiting, if you're interested to know more, please stop by, speak to Reverend Dayna after the service, and get to know more. We would love to have you be a part of this program in this new congregational year. Also, adult faith formation is also beginning this year, and in September, I will be offering a 4-week course, Marching into Freedom Land, the Civil Rights Movement, and it'll be on 4 Wednesday evenings, all on Zoom. If you're interested to learn more about some significant events and markers in civil rights history from the period 1945 to 1973, it's a great opportunity to come together. And this will also include a special focus on the UU involvement in the civil rights movement, drawing from a historic book that my colleague, the Reverend Mark Morrison Reed, wrote about the Selma Awakening. Also, the registration is included in the e-news, and you can talk to me if you have any questions. And last but not least, I'd like to welcome our acting music director, Libby Wiebel, who has a special song and dance announcement.
I'm not going to tap dance.
Oh.
Sorry. My name is Libby Wiebel. My pronouns are she and her. I have been at Cedar Lane now as your acting music director since May. So I'm still a newbie here. And just settling in, and I'm very excited about our upcoming congregational year. And I wanted to extend an invitation to everybody to get involved with music at Cedar Lane. We have the choir and the bell choir. Yep. And both of those meet weekly to rehearse. But I also want to know if you play an instrument, or if you sing, or are a songwriter, or have any musical inclinations. I would love to know. So please get in touch with me. You can email me. My address is in the e-news. And you can also chat with me after services. I'm always drinking coffee. Choir rehearses on Wednesday nights at 7:30, starting the Wednesday after Labor Day. And bell choir rehearses on Thursday evenings at 7:30, starting the Thursday after Labor Day. So I hope to talk to some of you, and hope that you can get involved with music this year. Thank you.
Let us make some joyous music together. Let us now move into a space of sharing and holding our joys and sorrows, both within our community and beyond.
Let us center ourselves and enter into this moment, calling upon all the sources of love that are within, among, and around us. We lift up those in our community who are living through significant passages, the small and extraordinary milestones of life. we pause to be present to our spiritual companions and to the concerns of our own hearts. Within our Cedar Lane community, we remember former member Delilah Foster, who passed away on August 12th in Columbia, Missouri. She was 93. Delilah and her late husband, Bill, were dedicated Cedar Lane members for almost 50 years. Congratulations to Cedar Laner Claire Burgee, daughter of Jean and Barry Burgee, on completing her doctoral studies in cognitive psychology at the University of Chicago. Claire will soon start a research postdoc at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Congratulations, Claire. Our caring extends beyond Cedar Lane to others whose lives are lost and whose lives are impacted by war, violence, and the calamities in our nation and in our world. We mourn the killing of 3 Black people in a racially motivated shooting in Jacksonville, Florida on Saturday. May these friends of ours, our companions in the world, and all the joys and sorrows we hold in our heart be held in the embrace of silence. As we enter the silence together, you are invited to rise in body and or in spirit and speak the names of the loved ones that you are holding in remembrance, or share the names in the chat.
Hi.
Hi. You ready?
I've got some questions here.
I got some too.
Awesome. So I'll start. I'll ask you a question. How can I talk to a MAGA Republican, or should I just not do it?
Have you heard of softball questions, Dayna? How do I talk to MAGA Republicans, or do I not? Well, I think in my experience, I have tended to do the latter more.
Yeah.
But what I realize is if we are committed to be engaged in learning more about one another, which is an important part of our faith. You know, we don't just say we celebrate diversity. We engage with diversity. And that's what Unitarian Universalism calls us to do. It is sometimes important for us to find a way to hear one another, even if we do not agree with one another. You know, Dr. King, when he was preaching on agape, love, really talked about how Jesus said the commandment is to love one another, not to like one another.
Yeah.
So, and love is not just a feeling, it is an act, an intentional act that pushes us sometimes in places where we don't want to go. And cultivating that spirit might just enable us to be more, and now I'm preaching to myself, so be a little bit more understanding, because the important aspect of engaging with diversity is not to achieve agreement as much as to create understanding.
Thank you. Can I add just like one thing to that?
Sure.
I think I agree with everything you said, and agape love was the first thing that came to mind for me as well. And also, if anybody ever feels like their safety is in jeopardy, the first person you need to love is yourself. And so sometimes it's unsafe to talk to MAGA Republicans. And if that's the case, it's okay to walk away and love yourself first.
Amen. So, Dayna, Maxine is asking us, why is Cedar Lane under construction?
That's a really good question, Maxine, who I think is up in the choir loft. Cedar Lane is under construction because we are doing a big renovation. And so I like to think of us as being in our cocoon or chrysalis phase of becoming a butterfly. And so right now we're kind of goo and mush, and we're neither a caterpillar nor a butterfly, but we have the genetic code of both. And so pretty soon, sometime next year, we'll turn into a beautiful butterfly, and we'll have a big celebration of all our beauty and magnificence. But I think the most important thing to remember is Cedar Lane is not the building. Cedar Lane is the people. And so when we keep that in mind, it can kind of bring down the stress and tension of seeing everything kind of up in the air. If we remember that it's the love that we bring to each other, that's the most important.
Thank you, yeah. And just to add a little bit to that, we have not done a major construction in decades. And this beautiful building was built in the 1950s to serve a community that was Cedar Lane then. And it's been a while. And we are a different community with different needs, and also, that whole thing about deferred maintenance is a great euphemism for no maintenance. And we deferred some maintenance over the years, and doing this construction is to enable us to be more accessible, more welcoming, more inclusive, in visually and as physically as possible, embody some of the values that we say are important to us as a Unitarian Universalist religious community. So that's partly why we're doing this, because we're going to have a really new, wonderful elevator that's going to enable us to access all parts of the building. We'll have a ramp that will lead up to the chancel area, so everyone is able to come up when we do, and other things as well to make this a more inclusive space. So that's really exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Which is why we're putting up with all this concrete, the dust, the cement, all that construction stuff. We love it.
So this question is about memorials. Is there an end of life and or memorial ritual that's specific to UUs?
Is there an end-of-life ritual that is specific to Unitarian Universalists? That's a great question. So Unitarian Universalists, we tend not to focus as much on having memorial services when beloved members pass. We actually have a celebration of life. And that is grounded in the understanding of remembering people for who they are and what they brought and shared with us in life. And I don't know if I would characterize that as a unique approach as much as to say it is a very special way of remembering our loved ones. And we do have practices in the service that tend, more than eulogizing someone, remembering someone, the whole cloth of a person's life, which means we celebrate who they are, faults, foibles, and all. And that makes it more of a human celebration rather than as a testimonial or a conversion opportunity. So that's, again, the focus that we bring to the end-of-life remembrances.
Thank you.
So this is a question that's addressed to me, but it's also, I think, applies to you as well, Dayna. The question is, ministers work all the time.
Yes.
Or on duty, even in free time. The pandemic heightened pastoral demands on ministers and on you. What kept you going? How do you give yourself pastoral care?
That's a really good question.
Yes, and I'm glad I'm asking you to answer.
I know. Yeah, everything that person asked is true. It's absolutely true. I think for me during the pandemic, reconnecting with nature was really important, especially when I couldn't be close to people. I could be close to nature. And I shared with the Soul Circles retreat people yesterday that when I was in CPE, which is clinical pastoral education when you're an intern chaplain, somebody taught me a way to release all the pastoral burdens that you're carrying. And they said, go to a tree and touch it with both your hands or hug it and just release all the energy that you're holding into that tree. And so that's a technique that I learned that actually does work. And it really, during the pandemic, there's a particular tree, a particular place I go and walk and go to that tree and release everything. And then, say a little prayer, talk to the river, and then go home and I feel like a different person. So, yeah.
So ministry is not a job. At least that's what I found out when I started out. And I think as the years have passed, I have gotten to appreciate and understand what a vocation means.
Yeah.
And it's what I'm also learning is ministry is more than just what are you called to be. In fact, it is responding to what life is calling you to be. And that's a very challenging place to be. And one of the blessings of ministry is you get to encounter yourself day in and day out. Sometimes it's fun, other times it's not.
Yep.
All this to say, I'm not really good at giving myself pastoral care. And over the years, I have learned that I am getting worse at giving myself pastoral care. And I'm just being candid with you in that this is a growing edge that has only deepened and sharpened over the years, that I'm needing to do more intentional work in caring for myself and not somehow feeling that I have to be out there caring for everyone else. Because as a wise colleague once observed, if you're not nurturing your own spirit, you would dry up and wither away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So,
I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I think we should pause here so that we can engage in another Unitarian Universalist ritual before we get back to some questions.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Oh, those were good questions. Each Sunday we give and receive an offering to sustain the mission and ministry of our religious community and support a community organization that is in alignment with our mission. In August, we have been sharing our plate with Congregation Action Network, CAN, which is a community organization of which we are a member that supports immigrants and refugees, and particularly is focused in providing deportation defense for some of our immigrant neighbors who are facing the risk of deportation. And this takes many forms, which we are engaged in different ways. And today's offering will go to support this important work. There are many ways to give. You can give electronically, or mail a check, or place your offering in the offering plate that the ushers will be bringing forth in a moment. However you choose to give and whatever you give, we're deeply grateful for your generosity. Our offering will now be given and gratefully received. Thank you, members of the family choir, Libby and Susan, for that wonderful anthem. Really good.
That was great. Put a smile on my face.
Yes. Why isn't the UU religion more popular in these days when so many people, and especially young people, answer none to the question, what is your religion?
Can I see that? Thank you. So why isn't the UU religion more popular? Sometimes my auditory processing is not as good as my visual processing. So.
Sure, take all your time.
That's a really good question, and I know it's a question that UUs have been thinking about for years, actually. I think it was probably about 20 years ago they did a study that showed that more young people identify as none, N-O-N-E-S, than as being affiliated with a religion. So I wonder if sometimes people come into a faith community, a congregation, expecting everything to be ready for them and be ready-made. And actually, my call to ministry started as a nun. And I was speaking to one of my relatives, and I was like, I feel like a Unitarian Universalist. There was a Unitarian Universalist preacher who was on NPR a lot at the time. And I was like, that's it. Every time he talked, I'd be like, yes, that's it. But when I went into UU congregations that were mostly white, mostly older, I had biracial children and a Caribbean husband. And so I didn't feel really like there was anybody else who looked like us or our family. And so I told this to my relative, and he was like, I'm spiritual but not spiritual but not religious. That's me. I'm a nun. And he was like, you know what? No, I don't think that's the answer. He's like, if that's the faith that you feel like you are, you enter that faith and you challenge that faith to become what it is called to be. And that is my call to ministry.
Wow, that's a really good point, Dayna. That, in order for a religion to work, you have to work at it.
Yeah.
And in order for a community to be there, you have to be a part of the community. Mm-hmm. And you are alluding to something that's somewhat endemic to our culture, especially now, which is looking at religious communities as part of the spiritual marketplace.
Right.
And somehow seeing religious communities as service providers that are there to meet our every need. Mm-hmm. And if we don't like something that doesn't meet our need, we'll go someplace else. Mm-hmm. There is certainly that mindset, and it's not a critique. It's the way we are as a capitalist, consumerist society. And in order to be more engaged and relevant, we also need to be doing some work internally to be more present to the community that we are a part of now. So to somehow think what we did, say in the 70s, and how we were organized in the 70s would be applicable to everyone now, especially the young people, the nuns,
right,
would be a real stretch. And what I have heard from young people who come and then don't return is what we have, while it is meaningful, is not really relevant to them in their own spiritual journeys. So part of the work I think we have to do is discern how can we be both.
Yeah.
Of ministering to the needs of the community that is here now, while also developing, cultivating the ability to minister to those who are yet to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So I have a question from Layla.
Yes?
Layla wants to know, why do people sometimes not like LGBTQ plus people?
That's a big question, Layla. Thank you for asking that. Why don't sometimes people like LGBTQ plus people? Underlying this, I feel, is fear. Mm-hmm. Fear that comes from not knowing how to respond to difference and differentness. That sometimes puts people in places of reacting rather than finding a way to understand and learn. I am grateful that Unitarian Universalism is a faith, and we are a faith community that is welcoming and inclusive, especially towards those who are gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, genderqueer. And we do the work of creating a more inclusive and welcoming space for individuals and families that way. And I really wish other communities and other people would approach this in a similar way. Not that we are perfect. Nope. Somehow we have mastered how to be welcoming. We are learning, and we make mistakes. But what we are learning is how to be, mm-hmm. and how to be more hospitable as a community.
Yeah, can I add to that?
Please.
So I think a lot of times people hide their fear behind religion. And they'll say, well, the Bible says da 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 da. And to that, I say, the Hebrew Scriptures, one of the oldest texts of the Abrahamic faiths, says that you, Layla, and everybody here, was made in the image of God. So you are perfect. And God knew exactly what God was doing when God put each and every one of us here. And so if anybody ever says, the Bible says this, that, or the other, you can say, one of the first things that God said is that we were made in the image of God.
And the Hindu sacred texts say that we each are born with inherent worth, dignity, and divinity. That God is in each and every one of us. And when we affirm that and promote that, which is an important Unitarian Universalist principle, we are living into that recognition, mm-hmm. that we are not just created in the image of God, but we are God, mm-hmm. the divine. Yeah. And we are loved.
Yes.
So are there any UU summer camps, Dayna, for kids alone or for whole families that Cedar Laners can attend?
Yes, and.
Can you name a few?
Can I name a few? Well, there are several camps that are family-oriented, like Unirondack.
Is it still happening?
I saw some advertisements for it.
Susie.
There's also a camp that I used to run in Annapolis, if you want to drive out there. That's a day camp called Camp Beagle, and it's based on Darwin. So it's a whole week of learning about evolution and Darwin and science. And we would love, I think we have a beautiful campus, to have our own Cedar Lane summer camp. So if you want to help make that happen, let me know, because that's something that, you know, when the community, when the congregation really buys in, it can be transformational. So whoever wrote that question, come see me, we can talk.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, my turn? When do we fight those in power versus appeal to them to make a change?
Say that again.
When do we fight those in power versus appeal to them to make a change?
When do we fight those in power? Well, I think, yesterday marked the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom and Living Wages, which was a way of fighting those in power who would not recognize the equal rights of all citizens, and so needed to be told and forced to recognize it. So when there is institutionalized oppression and injustice, the only way you can be heard is to fight for nonviolently and to make that demand in an engaged way. And when you get to a place where you're able to have a conversation, that's when you dialogue, get into an opportunity to negotiate and reason together. This is the idealist speaking in me, so
Yes,
it's still worth a try.
it is. We'll keep trying.
All right. Well, maybe we can go just for a few more minutes because there is one question I want to ask you.
Sure.
Why does life sometimes give us lemons when you don't really like lemonade?
That's a really good question. That's a really, really good question. So that reminds me of the book, Why Do Bad Things Happen to Good People? And the premise of the rabbi who wrote that book was essentially that bad things happen. And, there is not some like puppet master God up there kind of saying like, well, I'm going to make this bad thing happen to Job and this bad thing not happen to Rebecca or whatever. However, so there's not like bad things just happen because we're human and we're living life. But God is in the helpers. So even if you don't like lemonade, maybe like fruit punch. I don't know. Maybe like iced tea. So the idea is when you're in these crises moments of having lemons or, just having like a crappy time, to look for God in the people or the moments that that bring you joy or uplift you. And like when I was doing my CPE in hospice, and it seemed like death is everywhere when you're doing hospice work, I would look for life, and then I'd see like a tree or a plant or like flowers that somebody had left. And so finding those places where you can see just like a little spark of the divine, whether it's lemonade or iced tea or fruit punch.
So if you don't like lemonade, add mango to it.
Yes. And who doesn't like mangoes? That's what I'm saying.
That's right. Earlier, when I was speaking about our commitment to supporting LGBTQI plus people and communities, I misspoke. And instead of saying transgender, I said transsexual. I apologize for that oversight. I'm trying to formulate a thought here about how Unitarian Universalism approaches this particular issue of why do bad things happen to good people. We believe in life before death. And we do that because we recognize that we have been given this life that we know. And the charge is to live this life fully and to recognize that life is both joy and sorrow, and that you can script life, and that sometimes stuff happens. And it's not because there is some invisible hand that is orchestrating all this, or somehow we're being singled out for bad things. Even sometimes it feels that way.
Right.
So what our faith teaches us is to learn how to be present to life, even when life is challenging. And recognizing that we're not alone,
Right.
that we are on this journey together, and that we are there to help one another. So I love that, being helpers. Mr. Rogers said
Yes,
that.
exactly. Yeah.
And that was such an important thing to hear, when my children were watching that, look to the helpers was such a big piece of their learning.
Yeah.
And we are the helpers to one another. And Unitarian Universalism is not celebrating individualism. It is about honoring our unique individual beings in community together. And our humanity is deepened by being there for one another and in support of one another. That
Yeah.
preachy?
Yeah, we're ministers. That's
A
what
little
we
bit
do.
preachy, yeah.
That's what we do.
Didn't mean that, but anyway, I think we should pause. Boy, these are some really good
Yeah, we have a lot
questions.
more to go, so.
Oh, this is a quick one. Can we sing a few more traditional hymns? Lots of repetitions of contemporary songs of late. Yes, of course we can sing traditional hymns. And we will sing them until someone complains we are singing too many traditional hymns. We need more contemporary songs.
Yes.
That's who we are, right?
This was fun.
This was. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for all these wonderful questions. And we look forward to addressing some of these. I always appreciate this because these questions really become grist for the sermon mill, so to
Yes.
speak. So, thank you. Did someone ask you a question about, do I repeat myself or something like that? Did you have a question about? That's right. Yeah, do I revisit my sermons? Of course I do. I really believe in the Unitarian Universalist value of reduce, reuse, and recycle. And it is such a wonderful thing that people don't remember what I say. So I can repeat myself all I want, and you still come up to me and say, Abhi, that was a wonderful reflection. The thing you do remember are stories and jokes. So that's why I always try to come up with new jokes that I can then subject you with. Oh, reminding. Can I just offer you a pun? So, did you know the guy who invented the knock-knock joke won a Nobel Prize? Oh, come on. Nobel Prize. People. As we bring our time together to a close, I leave you with these words that are attributed to the founder of Universalism, John Murray. Go out into the highways and byways, give the people something of your new vision. You may possess a small light, but uncover it, let it shine. Use it in order to bring more light and understanding and compassion to the hearts and minds of people. Give people not hell, but hope and courage. Preach not theological despair, but the kindness and everlasting love of God. Go in peace, go making peace, living gently, loving mightily, and bowing to the mystery. May it be so.